Today I'm taking a closer look at and showing you how to install the XK Glow 60-inch tailgate LED light bar with sequential turn signals, fitting all make and model Rams. Now, you guys should be checking out the XK Glow option here for your rig. If you'd like to go with a middle of the road option for your Ram in regards to price point, to add a little bit more visibility to your brake lights, turn signals, and reverse lights, thanks to the 2 rows of both red and white LEDs. Now, the XK option will get backed by a 3-year limited warranty and can be had all for right around that $175 price point. So big features here will be the huge increase in visibility for the rear of your truck for things like those running lights, brake lights, turn signals, and reverse lights. Just how much brighter? Well, according to XK Glow, the red LEDs will emit 700 lumens, while the white LEDs will emit a whopping 1900 lumens, which is sure to illuminate anything behind your truck at night, along with alerting fellow drivers when you're backing out of a parking spot. But maybe the biggest feature here that sets this option apart from some of the others in the category is the sequential turn signals that gives this awesome pulsing LED light, which does give the rear of the truck a little bit more of that custom look that is sure to get you noticed. Moving into construction, and this is the 3rd generation option from the gang at XK Glow, and they are quick to point out they have made some improvements with this option over some of their previous designs. For starters, they stacked the most LEDs in the 60-inch bar as they could to give the illusion of that kind of lightsaber glow, as they call it, basically making for one continuous beam of light. And seeing this thing in action, it really does give off that illusion. Now, they've also increased the output overall of the LEDs used for the increased brightness over those previous generations we just talked about, along with other options that you might encounter here in the category. Finally, they've also included a trailer plug harness, which is wired up, ready to go, that should work without the need for any additional modules, but owners can choose to hardwire this option if they prefer. Now, last but not least here, guys, I do want to point out the bar has been given a waterproof rating of an IP67, which does make this thing more than capable of living on the rear of your truck and getting wet over the elements. Now, moving into pricing, and as I pointed out earlier, gang, the XK Glow option around that $175 ballpark price is gonna land you kind of right in that middle of the road when it comes to pricing, with some of your more affordable options from Rough Country or Raxium out there. But still, this is a long way from the Putco option that comes in roughly $100 to $200 more than the XK Glow option that we have on the table today. But as always, never a bad idea to check out the rest of our selection here at AT before making your final decision. All right, last but not least, let's talk about the install, guys. And as I mentioned earlier, there is a trailer plug option included that will work with most trailer plugs out there, along with a peel and stick job. There is basically pre-installed 3M tape on the back of this thing, which will make for a very simple install. Now, because there is an option to wire or hardwire this in, the site is gonna nudge this up to a soft 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, taking you about 45 minutes, I would say, at most to complete from start to finish. But now, to give you a better idea of how this one might go down in the garage or driveway at home, let's throw it out to the shop for our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown.
For this install, you will need an impact or a ratchet, T25 Torx bit, or in our case, a Phillips head bit, wire strippers and crimpers, needle nose pliers, a razor knife, and also not shown here is male spade connectors and T-taps. What's up, guys? Today we're going to be doing a tailgate light on our Ram, so let's get started. Alrighty, guys, so to get started, we are going to set our tailgate light in place. That's going to go directly under the tailgate in this flat area between the bumper and the tailgate itself. This does have an adhesive backing, so first thing we'll do is remove this cover. And take that completely off. We're going to set this in place. Now, you do want the wiring end to be at the driver's side, because that's going to have all your lights set in the right spot, your left turn signal, right turn signal, and so on and so forth. So we'll get this in here. And once you get this into this area, you want to center it up as best as possible so that you can obviously see everything. We'll just loosely press it in place in a couple spots. You want to make sure it's as straight as possible, because these do like to droop a little bit at the ends. Stick that on. Okay. Now that we have this set in place, This does come with a connector that will work with your 4-pin plug for your hitch. If you wanted to, you could cut this connector off and wire this into the backside to kind of give it a cleaner look. However, for demonstration purposes, we're going to use our 4-pin plug. So now we're going to open up our cover for our 4-pin plug. Now this only goes in one way, so you can't get it wrong. Tuck this wiring back behind our bumper. Now again, if you want the cleaner look where you're not using your 4-pin plug, you could wire this up to the backside if you so chose. Again, we're just gonna keep it nice and simple. We're gonna tuck our excess wiring back here. Now this red and black wire that are loose, it's gonna be for our reverse lights. We'll show you how to wire those up. So get that back behind. All right, so now in order to wire up our reverse light function, we're gonna need to remove the driver's side tail light. Now doing this at home, your factory screws should be T25 Torx, so you'll need a T25 Torx bit and a ratchet. However, due to many previous installs and ours kind of getting worn out, we now have Phillips heads in ours. So we've got our Phillips head bit, we're gonna run that out. Be very careful not to drop these. Once you have that out, pop your tail light out. This bottom connector is gonna be your reverse lights. So what we're gonna do is unplug our tail light just to make things a little bit easier. We'll push down on that connector, pop our safety tab on our upper one, set that aside for just a minute. So now what we're gonna do is grab our red and black wires from underneath and send them up through into our tail light bucket area. We're gonna have to reach in and kind of fish it through. There is an opening. May have to get under and feed it up. So we'll feed that up into tail light area. Should be able to grab it. Now we've got both our wires up into the bucket area, so we're gonna pull those out. Just need enough to have some room to connect. We're gonna come to our reverse wire harness. And we're gonna need to expose some of this wire. So we're gonna grab a razor knife and cut back some of this wrap sheathing. Now you wanna be very careful when doing this. You don't wanna damage any of your factory wiring. So use caution when cutting this. And always cut away from yourself. Sometimes this stuff is pretty brittle, so it's kind of a pain. You want to just cut this back until you expose a good amount. So now that we've got our wiring exposed, we're going to grab 2 T-taps. Now these are not provided with your kit, but in order to install this the way we're doing it, you definitely will need some of these. Readily available at any auto parts store for a couple bucks for a pack. And it keeps it modular in case you need to unplug this setup. So we're gonna wrap this around and set that wire into the metal saddle. We'll clip this around the wire. Now, me personally, I like to take some needle nose pliers and do a gentle squeeze on this. Just enough to set that in place. It gives it a little better crimp onto the wire. We'll do the same thing for our other one. Again, get that wire set into that saddle. Second one is always a little bit tricky if you're in tight quarters. And once again, that a little bit of a squeeze and you'll feel it click into place. That's what we want. Now once we have that done, we're gonna grab our red and black wires. We're also gonna grab some male spade connectors. Once again, not included, but you can pick these up along with the T-taps, and these are gonna plug right in. So your wires are pre-stripped, so we'll set those in. Grab our crimpers, crimp that down. I like to give it a light tug just to make sure that connection's solid. We'll do the same thing for our black wire. Okay, and once we have these crimped, just plug them into the back side of our T-taps. So black to black, red is gonna go to your white and brown wire. And we can tuck any excess wiring we have back into our bucket area. Get that out of the way. And we'll reinstall our tail light. Plug our reverse light back in. There's our other connector. Want to make sure you lock that tab back down. We'll line this up, push it back into place, and reinstall our screws. Now we'll get our screws back into place. And once again at home, you would be using a T25 Torx bit. Alrighty folks, that about wraps up our review and install of our Universal XK Glow 60-inch tailgate LED light bar with sequential turn signals. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything Ram, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.